January 13th, 2025. And I'd like to begin with look for an approval of the agenda. Has everybody had a chance to look at the agenda? Is there anything you'd like to add? Okay. Any
Motion to approve?
I'll
Okay.
second the motion, Your Worship.
Okay, moved by Councillor Ice and seconded by Councillor Pence. Next item is approval of the minutes. Again, has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? Any questions, comments? Or do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Okay, moved by Councillor Campbell,
I'll second them.
seconded by Councillor Fortune. Thank you. We then move to any business arising from the minutes. Have we any?
I have none, Your Worship.
Okay, hearing none. We next move. It's a special night. We've got quite a few actually service awards, pretty significant milestones for towns, a few town staff here. So that's our item 4, presentation of service awards, and I will follow CAO Hagan's lead on this.
All right, so we'll start with Chief Mark Hobeck. Just come through there. Want to shake hands? Pretend you like each other. Next, we have Constable Adam Rideout. That's working, how convenient.
This is another 5 years. So congratulations, Constable. Thank you very much for your service. Start standing on a box up here.
Daryl Moss.
There.
Daryl is another 5 years. Congratulations, and thank you very much, Daryl. Thank you.
Great. Brian Coffin.
Brian Coffin's another 5-year milestone. Thank you very much, Brian. Congratulations. Oh, man, for home.
Here we go. Joe Landry is 10 years, but he's not here. So then we have a little known one, Gina Markey. Yeah, this is a big one.
Gina Markey, 30 years.
That one's her.
30 years, that's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I'll make sure that Joe gets his service award.
Great. So I should add, everyone who's received an award, certainly feel free to leave. The rest are totally welcome to stay, but you don't feel obligated to stay.
Get out while you can.
Chief, you do that.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, guys.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving into a couple of presentations. Our first one is item 5 on the agenda, and that's from relating to the hospital gardens and presented by Barb Young.
So I'm not going to reiterate what's in the letter. I'm going to give you kind of a shorter version, but I also want to give you a little background information, what precipitated us to get into this project in the first place. And so the title is the same as in your letter, Acres of Healing Commemorative Garden, and we are, I personally am a member of the Aberdeen Hospital Archives Committee, and we are in collaboration with the Aberdeen Hospital Auxiliary on this project. So this is to acknowledge that we are in the land known as the Mi'kmaq, the traditional and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. A quick history of the nursing in Pictou County. 1897, the official opening of the Aberdeen Hospital and the Aberdeen Hospital School of Nursing. And the School of Nursing was open for 98 years, and it closed in 1995, just 2 years short of 100. So what's what got us going on this project is in 2025, it's the 30th anniversary of the closure, and we thought as our archives that we would we would do something and bring it to the alumni to commemorate the school. There's absolutely nothing in the public that to suggest there ever even was a school of nursing, and the fact that it ran for 98 years and it graduated 1,843 grads, the majority of them from Pictou County. So, and the other thing about it is the last group that graduated are now in their 50s, and we're aging out of all this, these ones in the archives that are doing, preserving this history, and we're dropping off, and so it's what's going to happen afterwards. So that's what brought us to this, doing a permanent marker, starting out with an art installation initially, and then it morphed into including a healing garden. So this is not very clear up there, but I'm just going to give you a couple pictures of what is in this archives. We have over 1,000 artifacts that have been digitized, and there's so much information, and it's hard for you to see there. But this was the original hospital, and for anybody who doesn't know, it was on the west side, and the current Quality Cleaners is where the residents used to be. Now, this is the first picture of a graduating class, and that's 10 years after the first group did. And I wish it was clearer. However, there's a group of ladies there sitting on chairs with the long dresses and hats, and they're looking at the students and the ones that on the stage. And all that dark stuff along the side by the pool, that's where they put them in. They're sitting on the grass. And we have horse and buggy. So it's just such a time capsule. I wanted to include it, and that's an example of what we have. So the project is a professionally designed garden. The centerpiece is a large stone with narrative carvings. And there's two other schools, the School of Radiology and Lab Technology, also graduated from the hospital, but they were shorter duration and fewer students. So there's going to be 3 stone benches engraved with the dates of the School of Nursing and those other schools, and it's creating a reflective healing space, something warm and welcoming for individuals who are in the hospital. If you have somebody in there that's been sitting at a bedside for a while and need to step out, all they have to step out to is cement and parking lot. There's nothing warm or comforting about the outside space of the hospital, so it'd be advantageous to have it there. And commemorating 98 years of education, because the education part, it was a practically free education over the 3-year period for the students, and the service is that the students in kind gave labor to the hospital, so it was a working pair, and that symbol down there is going to be on the thing. So a garden is not a new idea, and this is a group that graduated in 1919. Now this is only the second picture we have from the first 20 years, and I brought this picture because it's so pretty, but in behind the hospital and school residence at that point in time, there was a huge round garden, and there was all kinds of other smaller beds and trees and shrubs and walkways and benches. the same kinds of things that we're hoping to achieve, but not on that mass scale for the garden that we have in mind. And healing gardens are now in vogue, but this is what goes around, comes around. This was 1919. And you've probably seen in the news that the IWK Foundation gave millions, with an S, to the IWK Hospital to do one. And there's a bit of a garden in the community college between the former building and the current building off the atrium. There's lots of them being used, and they're effective. Our partners in this, the Aberdeen alumni, at our 2023 annual dinner, we had a standing ovation for over 200 alumni attending the dinner. And then the hospital gave us the permission to put it on the property. Our work with the Aberdeen Hospital Auxiliary is because we did not have a CRA number, they did, so they graciously accepted our project underneath their umbrella, and all the funds go through them and into their account, which is a separate account for this project. And the foundation, we went to the foundation, and so long as we met their mandate and made sure there was a garden there, and they were hoping to have something like that as well. And it met with the garden, it met the mandate of the mental health aspect that they're working on. And Nursing University Nova Scotia is a registered nonprofit, and that we are a member of out of Halifax. And that membership gave us a ramp to be able to apply for a heritage fund, one of the things we were applying for. And I'm gonna take a breath. Okay, so the Hospital Foundation gave us a very substantial donation, then it's up to us to find 50,000 more to add to that. Canada Helps, we're on that. We have grant applications that we applied for, and we have a major fundraising campaign about to be kicked off shortly, and it's depending on a three-dimensional concept from the garden designer. So Canada Helps, or a check for personal donation, this is how they're given. And I have that information on cards that I will get to you, Susan.
Yeah.
And this is our emblem, by the way, that was on it. So this is our artist, Marcus English, and you've seen probably this that he has down in Pictou. This is for First Nations. It's absolutely beautiful. And the thing we like about the art that he has is, instead of etching out the lettering or the images, he etches out around them so they stand three-dimensional. And if you go on Stone Feathers, his website or his Facebook page, you can get a description of what all these emblems mean. So that's the copy, or that is a picture of us doing, getting this contract signed with Marcus. That's the 1st of June, or 1st of December, that first week or so. And we've been working on this for 2.5 years. And it's trying to round up the funding that's the issue. And it was like, well, we got to bite the bullet. We got to build it and hope they come. And hopefully we don't have to start taking out personal loans by 2025. But this is Kim Chisen, our treasurer, and John Marshall, the treasurer of the auxiliary in that picture. And our garden designer is Victoria Moffat, and she got her degree in technical at this end, but she's working on her master's. She doesn't have a website page, but she gave us her portfolio, and we were blown away with the work that she does. And we met with her this morning, and I have a picture of the garden if you wanted to have a look at it. Or does it take too much time?
No, go ahead.
Okay, well, it's over there. It's paper.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's too much?
No, you can pass it out after.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm done.
Okay.
Pass it down. The only thing I want to say is these are two artists who live in Pictou County. Her husband is from the other side of the county, down Bray Shore or Caribou Way somewhere, and she grew up in Halifax, and they've been living in Hopewell for 6 years with her 3 children. And Marcus is from Pictou County. Have you seen his work down Pictou? That is an absolutely beautiful stone. You should go on the website. It's in front of what is the New Horizons seniors building down there.
I think it'd be great to have a picture. If you're able to, if you're able to feed it through here, then
Pardon me?
if you're able to feed the picture through to the council, I think it would be great to have a look.
It's not it's a big, we got this morning and I grabbed it from her, but it's.
Tell Susan to
it's a
put the
plan.
light on and we'll look at
Yeah,
it.
what's that?
Oh, it's a big picture,
No,
yeah.
this is like an architectural thing, I just want to give you an idea what the garden, if you read it to know or see it.
I can hold one end.
Oh, I see.
Sorry, folks. Okay, so, right now, where are we? I took about 15 minutes trying to fill it. Anyway, I took about 15 minutes trying to explain this to my husband. Okay, and finding out where he was when he was parked there, when he went in, and we found out after a while that he was over at the restaurant park, that's why we couldn't figure it out. But this is if you come in, sorry, if you come in to the hospital, to the parking lot, public parking lot, it's all over here, it's all over here. And this, by the way, is the shape of the nursing cat. I have it there. This
Nice.
is the rendition that we hope to get to use. And the parking lot is here, and there could be the steps going up, and you can see already there's this sidewalk with the bench that's in that, I call the grassy knoll between the entrance and the parking lot. And these are going to be two major trees, and these are some bushes. We have to yet make decisions about that because this is just the beginning. And when I asked Victoria if I could take that, she said, "Nick, sure, just brand new, we're still working on it." But this plot right here is where the art installation is going to be, and there's going to be 3 benches there. And, okay. So this is where, this is up at the hospital, this is where the bench is at the hospital with the walkway. And then there's going to be a walkway right through it, right down to the parking lot. Anyway,
Yep.
makes any sense, but I just want you to know that we're doing all kinds of work to try and
So
get this
you're-
out.
Barb?
I don't know what years, but Ernest Stewart, I don't know if you know her, Ernest Stewart, she passed away.
So I graduated 60 years ago this year. We were off to Marion.
Yeah,
That's when I say we're fitting,
thanks very much,
There's
Barb.
nothing there to commemorate the hospital or the school, and there was a major contribution. But it can be.
Thank you very much, Barb. Very informative. I wasn't aware of that underway, and it sounds like a very important project to both memorialize the history as well as create a space for
Well, there's nothing there in
people.
the hospital. And those kinds of spaces are now in
Yeah.
vogue. They're all over the hospitals, different hospitals across Canada.
You know, Your Worship, I often wondered, they closed the nursing school in 1995. I often wondered if they would have kept those nursing schools going, if we wouldn't have had the shortage of nurses that we're having
Okay,
now.
so there, I'll respond to that because that's not a local decision, and and everybody has an opinion about it, but there was a national board that set the standards for nursing education, and the Aberdeen Hospital were given the amount of time they needed to complete the education for the students they had there. And every hospital had to close at that point in time. And yes, there was a while that was really short too. But if the hospital continued to teach, they would not be accredited, and then they wouldn't get the funding from the province. So they had no choice, but it was made nationally. And we all have, but the other thing I want to say is we have a couple more projects in the go, and one of them is connected to community college, because we want the community to know that this is about nursing education in Pictou County, and it once was, and then what it now is at the community college, and they get an absolutely wonderful education up there, which they now can go back. If they finish that, they can still work at their LPN course, and that was almost the equivalent of the education that I got way back when. And then they go to the St. FX and they can get their degree at that point. But it was a national decision, it wasn't local, it was made. So we have another project in the go. We want to do, make that connection up there with them. And anyway, I'm taking too much time. Is
No,
there any questions?
there's no worry about too much time. Any questions among council?
Yes, actually, Barb, I was just wondering if, when you had your architectural design there,
Yeah.
you referenced the parking lot to the right. Would that be on, if you're staring at from East River Road, is that little grassy bit between, say, where you would pull in front of the hospital versus go to the parking lot, like that little strip to the right of the
Well, do you
hospital?
know where the bench is? Do you know where you're in public? Do you know how to get into the public parking lot?
It's on the Glen Haven side of things.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Sadly, I've been there too many
So there
times.
is that grassy spot there.
Just that strip,
Yeah, and it looks little until you stand on it.
but it slightly goes down toward
Yeah.
the parking
There's a
lot.
retaining wall. There's
Yeah.
going to be a retaining wall there.
Yes, okay.
And we were there today when I drove in, and I said, they're not going to be putting their snow on that next time, hopefully.
Yeah, I was just trying to visualize where that
Yeah,
grassy
that's-
part is that you were referencing. That's where my mind went. I just wanted to confirm. Thank you.
Caught on. My husband's still talking. And it's, like, the other thing about it, when we approached the foundation and when they were asking questions about it, it is highly visible there. And the shrubbery or whatever, there has to be lots of decisions made about the vegetation. And it's going to partially block out the parking lot, and that congested area behind. And there is a retaining wall, so that won't be dropping in on it. And there'll be access for a wheelchair, and it's public. It'd be obvious for the public so that they can go in there too, but absolutely anybody can be able to use the space. I mean, I'll come back someday if you want an hour to talk about it. Very
Thank you.
passionate about it. Anyway, we're just starting. I didn't even get into the funding stuff, did I? Or did I? No.
Your letters.
Yeah, your letters.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and your letter was circulated, and we've had a good read, and that'll be put in with deliberation. But thank you very much. I don't mind saying it's an excellent initiative from my perspective.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd find anyone disagree.
Well, we're worried about what's going to happen to all the archives and stuff when
Yeah.
we're no longer around.
Thank you, Bert.
Yeah.
Thanks for the chances.
Oh, Joe's here. Okay. We have another service award here for Joe. Joe Landry. Come on up, Joe. 10 years. 10 years down.
10 wonderful years.
I would say 10 dedicated years.
Yes, longer is very important. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Joe.
You certainly have to stay.
Stick around for a bit.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, you took your paper.
Okay, so we're into our item 6 in the agenda. We have another presentation from Nova Scotia Health, Municipalities and Health, presented by Coreed and Jalissa. If you would, please.
I think you guys are good to. Okay.
I emailed it, right?
Oh.
If you want, I can set up my laptop and be
Yeah, you
able
don't
to do
want-
that.
My apologies on that. No worries.
There is a sense of urgency I can appreciate when you get up there, but try to ignore that. Just whatever you have to do,
That's
just
on me, my apologies.
just relax and do it.
Hi, my name is Fire. I'm health promoter. I'm joined by my colleagues Lisa Clark, our nutritionist, and in the crowd we have Jenna Snow, our harm reduction specialist, and Corday, our another health promoter. So the purpose of public health is to work with organizations, with people, to understand the health of our communities, as well as to act together to improve the health. So in Northern Zone we have 4 public health offices. This includes Truro, Elmsdale, Amherst, and New Glasgow. As well, our support ranges from Colchester County, East Hants, Baker County, and then Cumberland County. So today our focus will be on the Healthy Communities team, but more specifically the roles of health promoters and nutritionists. So our work is guided and outlined by the public health standards and protocols. And so while our team has grown quite a bit in the last couple of years, our focus areas have stayed the same. This includes health protection, which focuses on the prevention and control of communicable diseases, and as well as immunizations, as well as early years, which focuses on prenatal, postnatal, and early childhood health. And lastly, healthy communities, which is why we're here today, which we'll dive into a bit more in detail. So upstream is a key analogy of how we think about health. So looking at this picture, you'll see the river, and imagine a bystander on the side of it, and they notice somebody falling into the river being pulled over by the current. So they go in to help the person get out of the water, but soon after they see someone else being pulled in the water, and another, and another. Soon a group forms to go in and help the people, but there's just so many people going that they can't help everybody. It gets to the point that somebody ends up deciding, I'm just going to go upstream and see what's causing people to fall into this water. This story shows how we need to think about health. And while we need to address immediate health needs, we also need to direct energy at the other end, which is the upstream approach. The social determinants of health are critical to upstream thinking. These are the conditions in which people are born, grow, live, work, worship, and play, and they all influence our health. They're conditions that are outside of our control and require action at the group or population level. It takes working together in and outside of health sectors to reduce income inequality and poverty, unsafe living conditions, and systematic discrimination and racism. All approaches are imperative for a healthy society. As health promoters and nutritionists, we aim for mid to upstream approaches. So if you look for another example, we can talk about food insecurity. People are struggling to keep head above water and put food on the table, so food banks are supporting many families and individuals within Baker County. Organizations jump in to help provide food relief, such as with food hampers. This is an immediate need. People need healthy food, and if they move upstream, we see how food security is more of an income issue, and concentrate efforts on supporting income policies that provide equitable income so everyone is able to take care of themselves and their families. It is a social safety net with an emphasis on health equity. So the Healthy Communities team focuses on the development of partnerships to foster healthy public health policies and address the social determinants of health in a range of settings. We work with schools, municipalities, politicians, decision makers to create bylaws and guidelines that lead to healthier communities. As you mentioned, we have a big team with a variety of disciplines, but today we will be focusing on sharing the work of our health promoters and nutritionists, in which Pico County we have 2 health promoters and 1 nutritionist here today. So we hear the word policy a lot, and it's a broad term that can hold slightly different meanings depending on the organization, the individual, or the sector. More recently, public health has looked to affect what's happening upstream with the approach to lean into policy. It is not that policy has been absent, but it has become an area for concerted effort. Our work aims to improve healthy public policy, focusing on health and equity in all aspects of the policy. So how do we take an upstream approach in this? Our role includes advocacy, either verbal or written, using our health promotion experience. This involves working with partners to seek changes in areas that affect communities' health. For example, this can include housing, food security, active communities, or alcohol and substance policy. With relationship building, our partners may include community organizations, not-for-profits, municipalities, or First Nations communities. As well, we also do work within Nova Scotia Health with the departments. For example, we have Adrian Thompson in the crowd as well for mental health and addictions. So we sit on committees or work with partners to bring voices together to understand what change in policy is best for the community. Often work includes asking, why is this happening? What is the misinformation? And what can we change with the dialogue? Through knowledge translation, we share best practice evidence and data that supports the monitoring of factors that impact population health. This may be translating health information or evidence in a relatable way that resonates with others. So health equity is a foundational piece of the work because, as we know, some populations may experience a greater burden of inequity because of existing or new policies. For example, one way that we may be able to collaborate is by supporting the development of an equity and anti-racism plan. So we work with partners seeking to understand the issue with up-to-date data that includes community voices, and seek changes or actions together. Together we collaborate to support policies and initiatives that are powerful influencers of community health and well-being. Part of the role of our health promoters and nutritionists is to provide technical knowledge. Sometimes we use tools to help us with that, and one tool we have here is our community health planning tools, which have recently updated. So we have 5 of these tools, but today we'll be talking a bit more about the income and health one, but they all pertain to Northern Zone. So we have provided you with a hard copy of all 5 tools, but we are happy to provide electronic ones as well if you like. So today we will provide you with a brief look at one of the tools, income and health. The focus will be more so on how the tools were created, the snippets taken from income and health, but the purposes of the presentation is we'll be focusing on the actual data, but encourage future conversations with it.
Alrighty, so this is the income and health tool, so one of the 5 tools. So basically, each tool has a similar format, so they include a section on key messages, data indicators, evidence, and considerations for communities. And basically the purpose of these tools is to share up-to-date evidence and data, and to basically move understanding from individual to more of a collective approach to health, to give attention to systemic and structural root causes of health inequities, and to support evidence-based upstream actions. So I won't go through all the key messages, but as you can see, the first one there on the top is that income is one of the most important determinants of healthy people and healthy communities. And income influences our experiences with many other determinants of our health, so things like housing, food security, child care, education, all those things. So then this is the indicator portion of the tool. So in this case, the indicator is prevalence of low income within our communities. And these indicators, they have very specific criteria. So they have to be precise, measurable, validated, and they also have to represent the population. So you can see here that for Pictou County, about 16.4% of the population is experiencing low income, compared to 14.9% in Nova Scotia and 11.1% in Canada. And then you can see that on the right, it talks a little bit about how income can vary by household size and composition. So just to note there that about 36.4% of one-person households with no children experience low income. So this is the last portion of the tool, which is the areas for consideration. So these are just some evidence-based informed actions. So this is where we can have conversations with partners to understand local context, local needs, local solutions. And so you can see that here addressing income would be the upstream approach like Stefan mentioned for an issue like food insecurity. So you can see here that it's a bit blurry, but there's basically a number of ways that you can try to address income. So one thing being like a basic income guarantee, but there's also other options. So like improving the accessibility and the adequacy of some of the income supports that are already in place, and also offering like higher wages and paid leave and other benefits sort of things. So then these are just some examples of how we've worked with communities in the past and how we're currently working with communities. So again, I guess not an exhaustive list, but just some examples. So previously in the past, our nutritionists have worked alongside municipal staff in development of healthy eating policies and recreation settings. We also supported community engagement discussions around local food systems within your community. We also provide communities with evidence, and one topic area is community water fluoridation. So in the package that I'll provide to Susan, there is a FAQ document around community water fluoridation if you're looking to learn more. In Cumberland, our health promoter recently supported a group of organizations to complete a service-based homelessness count. So she provided a lot of time and resources into the report writing. Our health promoters here, so Stefan and Corday, have recently supported the municipality of Pictou County and the town of Pictou with their physical activity plan and their municipal planning strategy. So we can provide support in like development of strategic plans. So then I know, there's lots of examples and our role can sometimes be pretty broad, but if you do wonder, like, is this something that we can support, don't hesitate to reach out, and all of our contact information is there. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you very much. Good presentation. Have we got any questions from the floor? Any comments from the council? Okay, look, we appreciate you coming forward. I must say, I notice it's interesting the way, when you read, the organizations Nova Scotia Health, Municipalities and Health. It's interesting the shift. We've inserted sort of or encompassed the notion of income with. In addition to the provision of services, where in the past we would have focused on our health services, what we provide, and ensuring that that's provided in an equitable manner and access is universal. It's interesting, now you're endeavoring into the income field, and it would seem, is it a fair statement that the idea is to encourage the policymakers, the government bodies to implement policies to affect the corporate world, to impact wages, I guess, income levels. Is this, how new is this? Is this year, last year? That element, I guess, the income element of the health plan, is that new this year, or is that something that's been incorporated into the messaging for several years?
I feel like, we're all fairly new to Nova Scotia Health, but I feel like it's been within the research for a few years, but it's something that public health here now in Nova Scotia is really trying to dive deeper into.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Just an observation and a sounding board to bounce it off. But thank you very much for the presentation. If there are no other questions, we'll relieve you of your obligation. But thank you.
There's a
Thanks,
package
guys.
for you guys as well.
There you go. Sorry about that.
Okay, our next item on the agenda, we move to our reports from staff. And we begin. And I will remind anybody in the audience or watching online that these reports are available online. They're posted for each of the departments, each of the reports that we're about to discuss. The first one up will be a report from our Chief Mark Hoback for Stellarton Police Services. Okay.
I'll second that.
Moved by Councillor Pence and seconded by Councillor Campbell. Reports on the floor. Is there any discussion? Any questions or points, comments council wishes to raise?
Your Worship, I'd just like to note their calls for service are up to 189 for the month of December, and in 2023 they were 167. So calls are increasing. I also want to focus on some of the community policing aspect of the events. They did a Christmas checkpoint. Sergeant Morel, who's recently been promoted, she attended the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. She actually also ran the YMCA Ugly Sweater Run in full uniform, I might add. And as noted at the last meeting, when we had a presentation from the food bank, they held a very successful Cram the Cruiser at Sobeys. I believe they raised almost $1,500. And yeah, so they're very active in the community. So I just wanted to make note of that.
Thank you, CAO Higdon. Appreciate that. There's a lot more going on besides regular police servicing as we know it. Okay, if there's no comments, we've got the approaching this. The report is already approved. We'll move to the next. Report is from our Fire Chief, Michael Sullivan, for Fire Department. Any motions to move that, approve that report as written?
So moved, Your Worship.
Okay, moved by Councillor Pence. Go ahead.
I'll move we accept it.
Seconded by Councillor Fortune. Thank you. Okay, the Fire Department report. Any questions, any comments? Anybody in the council or CAO?
Yes, I'll speak again. Just wanted to sincerely thank the fire department for hosting Santa on Christmas Eve. It's truly a highlight of many families' Christmas to see Santa come around town. So I want to thank them for taking time away from their own families to do that.
Good point.
It's a big deal.
That's a good point.
And I'd also like to thank the Stellarton Fire Department and the town for working together to have a very nice Christmas party.
Great, thank you very much.
Your light's off there, Chief.
Thank you very much. And I will say, you know, it was an early official event on my part and great community building event, right? Both. So there's the, I think we discussed the Christmas tree lighting last month, but the drive around with Santa and then the dinner for sure. All these things matter. So big thanks to the fire department.
It's community.
Community, that's right. Okay, our next report we've all received and have read is our marketing and communications report provided by Paige Draper.
I'd like to ask the CAO a question on that.
Yes.
I see she's updating the towns. Do you want to fill us in a wee bit on that, sir?
Absolutely. So the Town of Stellarton has an app. It's literally called Town App. And so when you download Town App, you look up municipalities and you look up Stellarton. And the idea of that is if there's something going on that needs immediate attention, if you download it, you will get a notification. For example, if there's a water break or if there's a town event that we want to remind you of or anything of that sort. So it's a very crucial piece of communication that we use here. And we did find out that we have 1,500 downloads for that app for the Town of Stellarton, which is substantial, which is quite high. Having said that, they are getting a new update, and nobody really has to do anything. They just have to kind of update their phone like any other app that needs updating. It'll update automatically. But I would definitely encourage those who have not looked into this, and it's available on both Apple and Android. So thank you for that question, Councillor Pence.
I have another question too.
Yes.
Your Worship. On the filming.
Yes. So Paige has taken it upon herself to contact Hallmark to see if this is an area that they might want to consider filming a location, a movie in. They got back to her immediately and said that they deal with the Nova Scotia Film Corporation. So that in turn prompted them to ask us to do some footage. So Paige contacted Cindy McKinnon with Dean's, and they got together and they developed a piece of film that they are going to have for potential filmmaking. So I know with Dean's, they did some at the Farmers Market in New Glasgow. They did some work in Trenton Park, and they did some work in Allen Park and on our main street. So you never know what might come from it.
I'll
still
move
not
the
opportunity.
report as written, your worship.
Yeah, well, actually, we should second that. We have a first move by Councillor Pence.
I'll second that, Your
Seconded
Worship.
by Councillor Rice, thank you. I guess technically we do that before we get into questions, but we'll continue with the questions if we have any. Anything else on the communications report? I'll put one forward. I'm glad to hear, first of all, that there's still an opportunity for a big break, you know.
Yeah, you never know.
We're spotted by the film crew. But as it relates to the app, right? So the report talks about having met, Paige had met with counterparts with the other neighboring towns. How many folks do we have else on what other towns do we have using the app, if any?
There's no towns currently in Pictou County that use this app. Paige did talk to most of the, well, they all know about it, but they just didn't feel at this time that they were interested. But we know we use it quite a bit.
Yeah.
And a lot of
I
people.
was impressed, Susan, when you told me the numbers there.
Yeah, we didn't have the data, and when Paige dived into it, 1,500 downloads for the town of Stellarton. That's
pretty
very
good.
high.
Yeah.
Thank you. It'd be interesting to follow that, because it would seem if one gets on and we're having success with it, it'd be beneficial for the other towns to
That's
to
correct.
adopt. Okay, thanks. Anybody else questions? So we'll move on to the next report. Next report is Town Engineer report by Blaine Murray. So we've all received and read that.
Yep.
Anybody want to put a motion forward to accept?
Go ahead.
I'll move to accept the report as written, Your Worship.
Councillor Rice moved with motion to
I'll
accept.
second that.
And Councillor Campbell seconded. Any questions, comments?
All those in favor?
All those in favor of all four reports, say aye. Aye. And opposed? Okay. Reports passed. I'll put, if nobody else, I guess I can kick off a question. We've got a couple of aspects to the report with the capital and water treatment. I have a question around capital. So I see, it's nice to look at the capital list and see it's virtually all completed, with the exception of one item being sidewalks deferred to next year. But besides that, we've got infrastructure, six projects, paving, 4. But on the capital side, we have a one-ton truck ordered, not yet received. I have a question just for our benefit, new council. The year, the make, the model, and the price of that truck, and when it was approved.
Sure. It was approved during budget deliberations under capital items, and so it's according to Blaine, it's a 2024 Ford F550, and he had put in the capital line item for $120,000, but it came in at $108,894.28.
That was last year's budget.
Yes, that was 2024, 2025.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. That's helpful. So that's how long it's taken to
Yeah.
approve, seek it, quotes,
Yep.
and not yet received. Interesting. Okay, one other item I would ask is on the water treatment. We see a nice trend of usage going down, right? We have stats from 2018 to 2024, and it's trending down in terms of the usage. I just wonder what we could attribute that downward trend to.
Yeah, so there's a number of items. There's been some water main replacements that, were causing leaks. Also water meters. That's a huge one. When we install the water meters, we can and we continue to see leaks, continuous consumption. So people are fixing those issues. And lastly are the process changes in the plant. So they use a lot less water to backwash the membranes and sand filters. And we used to backwash way more than they needed to. And it's an advantage to having a hands-on manager. So it's saving money, water, and it improves the processes. So
Oh, thank you. That's encouraging. as we're heading into,
Is that right, Joe?
Yeah, we have the band ready.
Yeah, Joe works over our other department.
Okay, and of course, there's a couple of us newbies looking forward to that tour of the water treatment plant.
Yes, I'll have to get your schedules for those
Yeah.
who want to go.
Great. Okay, any other questions, comments on the engineering report? All right. We shall move on to we have part 8 on the agenda is correspondence we've received, several. I'll leave it with CAO Hickton.
Yes, so the first one is from the Museum of Industry. Believe it or not, they're celebrating their 30th anniversary in
know, it's unreal.
2025. So they have some events that are planned, and on June 14th, 2025. So they thought that they would like to have some partnership with the Town of Stellarton, and by participating, bringing some antique and modern vehicles from the various town departments, such as the fire, police, and public works. So,
Do you think Paige would coordinate that?
oh, definitely Paige will work with Denise Taylor at the museum. We do have a management meeting tomorrow morning where I'll bring this up with the managers to see
Yeah.
if that's something that they can take part in. It's a Saturday, so there will be some overtime required, but I think that's well worth the
Yes.
celebration for the 30th anniversary of the Museum of Industry.
Thank you.
And that's just for council's information.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, our next item, well, we have 2 museum of
Yeah, so
industries.
there's another piece of correspondence here from the manager, Claire McDonald Matthews from the Museum of Industry. So they had a joint occupational health and safety committee, and they had asked Police Chief Hoback and Fire Chief O'Sullivan to participate in their fall safety training day. So she's just thanking them both. She wanted to make sure that council was aware. She wanted to thank both Stellarton Police and Fire Departments for the support and assistance in ensuring that their training day was a success. Again, for council's information.
Great, thank you. Pictou County 4-H.
So this is part of the annual grants that previous council had approved. So they approved $50 for the Pictou County 4-H, and this is a thank you note from Raina.
Excellent, thank you. Nova Scotia Association of Realtors.
Nova Scotia Association of Realtors wrote a letter to all council congratulating them on their election, and they wanted to introduce themselves. They recognize the important economic, social, and environmental impacts of appropriate income accessible housing in our communities, and they wanted they have an opportunity to talk to you and colleagues about actions that they can collectively take to ensure that everyone has a place to call home. Each region of Nova Scotia has volunteer realtors who serve on our Provincial Municipal Affairs Committee. And so she's just asking if anyone has any questions, or we can support them by receiving housing data or housing expertise during your term.
Wonder if we could get them to come and give us a presentation.
I can certainly ask that.
Yes, if you don't mind. Yeah, I think it'd be a good thing. What does the rest of council think? Your worship?
Yeah, no, I think I'm open to it. I mean, they raised some interesting stats as to the impact.
Yeah.
You don't think of these organizations until you have a reason to, and this is a reason to. So by all means, I'm open to the idea of a presentation.
Great. You don't need a motion to that effect, so
You do not, no.
Okay.
I will do that.
Okay, thank you. We have municipal affairs correspondence.
Yes, so this is from the Honorable John Lohr, Minister of Municipal Affairs. He's writing to commend all municipalities for successfully adopting the legislated code of conduct within the required timelines. The development of the code of conduct framework illustrates the significant collaboration between municipal governments and the government of Nova Scotia. And he would like to highlight that the working group recommended reviewing the code of conduct 3 years after its implementation. So he's confident that this new standard will create a more positive work environment for municipal elected officials across Nova Scotia. And that brings me into my next one from Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities. They are conducting in-person training sessions taking place in Truro for this region. That one's not mandatory, but I will be attending along with Councillor Campbell. So it's they're saying it's an excellent complement to the mandatory online training that's going to be launching in February, and I will be receiving those dates for online training sometime in mid-January, so I'll be sure to pass that along to council so they can ensure that they get that completed.
Great, thank you. That's all of our correspondence. That brings us to item 9 on the agenda is the Committee of the Whole report. As
There's none.
There was none, we didn't meet in December, but we will be meeting in January with a full agenda.
Great, okay, now we're on item 10, update from Pictou Antigonish Regional Library, I believe by Councillor Ice. Is that correct?
You want to speak on it?
No, that's all information that we.
Oh,
have.
yeah, it's all information.
Yes, it's just information. I was able to attend the first board meeting back in December, and it was a wonderful group that we had like an orientation for the first hour before the meeting, so it was definitely a learning experience and echoed a little bit more into our presentation at the regional training with the chief librarian, Eric Stackhouse. He was able to give us a little bit more specific details of how we as the board collectively make decisions and the status of what's going on with the local libraries and some of the really cool work that's happening. So it's definitely a lot of information on top of all the other information that's been coming down the last couple of months, but I'm looking forward to continuing to be plugged in with that group and hoping to be able to make a bit of a difference and help make decisions. And that's about it. Nothing pressing other than the New Glasgow Regional Library is currently undergoing renovations, so they're in a big changeover right now to have a temporary location, and yeah, so more details in the report and more to follow on that, but they're in a big transition right now as well.
Great, thank you very much. That's a helpful update. So it was FYI, more or less, nothing to move or motion on.
No.
But, you know, it's a glimpse into what each of the councillors has got several committees they're on, so it's great to have a report. Congratulations for being the first one to bring forward to council. So, but it's
I wasn't
nice
sure
to
if I had to read any of this
No.
or like give a summary.
great to get an update. And then similarly, we have item 11 is an update from Riverview Home Corporation.
That's me as well.
Councillor Ice.
Yeah, another very humbling experience to be hitting the ground running with the Riverview Home Corporation. We again had a bit of an orientation prior to our first board meeting as our board, as our council or new council representatives have stepped in. Fantastic knowledge base that the CEO, Heath, again, echoed into what we learned from our regional training just to get a better grasp of what's going on and how the remedy report is coming along. We delegated or designated or voted on positions.
You were the secretary?
I am the secretary now. So yeah, hitting the ground running. And also on the governance committee. So we have 2 meetings for Riverview Home Corporation next week, which is, I mean, on paper, in my calendar, seems like a lot on the go, but to be in the room with those folks, it's really simple and rewarding to be able to learn a lot from a lot of these people who have a lot of information and a really good grasp on what's going on. So I'm essentially just kind of along for the ride and putting a little bit of my 2 cents in here and there, but I know that they're very well on the way to making the remedy report, and I'm just kind of figuring it out as we go and confident that they're going to be making really good headway with getting the remaining residents relocated.
Important work. Great. Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. That brings us to item 12 for an open forum. For any that wish to step forward. No one's stepping forward. That brings us to our next council meeting, currently scheduled for Monday, February 10th at 5:30 p.m. And would I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Moved by Councillor Pence. Thank you.
So we just have a short in camera.
We do? Okay. See you, Joe.
Thank you. John, you're with the news, right? You're with, okay.
XFM.
XFM, great, okay. Thank you.
Do it every morning. John, what was the trouble they were having with